Resume. It's always stressful.
I think what everyone should know is that Mikkel just ran around the office for 10 minutes, shutting off the energy for the whole office in order to get the lights dimmed in the studio.
It's important.
Here.
It's important. And we have an unhinged door that's kind of leaning up against, the frame. We have, a box of soda basically weighing down the stand of the light, staying scrappy. But, I mean, we're going to talk about all this gear we bought. We obviously asked for, a discount.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. Of course, I always do. It's like, it's programmed, and I kind of read this thing. I think it was it in Influence by Cialdini? Something like if you go to Starbucks, maybe that wasn't the book though.
Yeah.
If you go to Starbucks, try asking for a discount. Chances are you're actually going to get it. And, if they say no one time, you can ask next time. And if they ask like why, just say just because. You're most likely going to end up getting a discount. And so I think it's kind of ingrained in us, especially I think just talking personally here at the moment with how costs are increasing for everything. You pay a bit more attention to where can you save a bit of money, right? And so I think it's normal for any business when they go and buy to kind of almost expect, of course, I'm going to get a discount, right? So we're going to talk a bit about that today. And, there's so many great articles, videos, even podcasts talking about how to do discounting, how to be, successful with it. We dropped even a discount hierarchy in a previous episode, and we kind of agreed, again, swimming against the current. We are not going to do that. Actually, we want to spend some time talking about should you even do discounting, and then get into some hidden benefits of not doing it. Right?
No, absolutely. And I think one of the issues is the culture around it, is the expectation around it, right? Hey, if you buy B2B software, you sure get a discount. But and this is the funny thing. I've been asking for discounts for everything. We have a whole framework. It's called BACT.
Yeah.
Budget, authority, competition, and timing. Basically kind of mirroring Bund, just from a buyer's perspective. We can talk more about that another time maybe. But, there's all kinds of thoughts going into that. But at home, when I buy something, anything, I'm way too shy to ask for a discount.
No way.
And the person who asked for a discount is my wife, by the way. It's like, no problem. She's like, going to a bazaar, she would win against anyone there, right? That's her thing. And I think the culture piece here is really interesting, that to a large degree, that's the current that you're fighting against, right? Kind of the, hey, everyone is expecting a discount, so I guess we're giving one, right?
Yeah.
And I think today, we're going to talk a little bit about what if you do swim against that current? What if you do see the world differently? How can you survive? What are the benefits of that? And trying to get away from this discount spiral that we're seeing a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I think also, we talked a bit about the poor account executive who go to the sales manager and say, I can close this deal if I, offer them a discount. And the rebuttal is, well, you obviously didn't do enough value selling. Let's do some enablement.
Well, it's not the sales manager. It's the
enablement
enablement person saying that. Well, did you build enough value with the prospect? Right? Yeah. But even in your example, even worse. A lot of AEs that are selling to you, and you will ask them for a discount, and then they will be like, Mikkel, I'm not. This is asking for a lot.
This is unreasonable.
First of all, I need something in return. You need to sign by 4 p.m. We need to skip legal. And the truth is, then they will say like, oh yeah, it's so difficult, and I can go to battle for you and kind of try and figure this out, but I think my CEO needs to sign off on that. And then basically what they do is they don't ask anyone and just send you the discount.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bullshitting, gaming, and some of the potentially bad reputation and sleaziness of the sales reputation, almost kind of coming a little bit out of this whole discounting negotiation game.
Yeah, it's almost like that scene in Wolf of Wall Street.
Which one?
Where wait for them to answer. If the first one who replies loses.
I see.
But anyway, so I think what we should do first off is let's jump into some of the issues with discounting. We already kind of started to peel the onion a little bit
Yeah.
here, but I think we should get a bit into it, right? Because there are some ramifications of this behavior of offering a discount and closing a deal, right? And one of the things you and I are talking about right now and talked about in the past is this whole dynamic of end quarter being able to hit, your quota as an individual sales rep, and essentially ending up potentially with the wrong customer.
Yeah, and the reason why I end up with the wrong customer in that sense and connected that to discounting is basically, hey, you have a price, it's set at a certain level, and we believe that certain level matches the value we provide. And if you now need to give a discount, apparently the prospective customer doesn't see the value just as you see it. Might have many different reasons. The rep didn't sell it properly. But it might also have the reason that the customer just is not as great of a fit for you as you might otherwise would think, right? And that then drives two things. One, it's a selection bias. So that customer might just not be great for you in the long run because maybe they just don't need that tool that much, or they don't see the value as outlined. But it also creates kind of this subconscious thing of like, the thing that I'm buying here isn't as valuable, right? We're going again a little bit into some of the pseudo psychology that we should stay clearly away from. But, there's this example of, they did it in kind of an experiment, a bottle of wine, 2 bottles of wine, actually, one $5, one $50. And then, people tasted it and needed to rate it. And obviously it was the same fucking bottle. And people rated the more expensive one much more tasty. And, yes, I think $50 is cheap for that one. And this $5 one, no, this is just, sour grape juice,
So I actually heard from, this is going to sound funny, but a friend of a friend, right? He was a sommelier.
So yourself.
He was a sommelier at a restaurant, and he said, so let me give you a bit of advice. If you're ever going to go out and, and eat, you have the cheapest wine on the menu, and no one ever buys it. The second cheapest wine on the menu is the one the restaurant earns all their money on. So don't get that one. Usually you want to go for like the third or the fourth.
Really?
But there's psychology in that, right? You don't want the cheapest. It's something with the quality of what you're getting, right? And you can play that to your advantage. Total, sidetrack here.
I think we need to change the name of the episode. I could talk a little bit more about wine right now, but let's maybe skip that.
Spin off, that's very popular in some shows. Okay, so, the other dimension that isn't really being talked about is you're giving away value, and basically you lose out on revenue in doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an obvious one.
Yeah.
It's like, Mikkel, thanks. I think we found a cool quote from Jacco here from Winning by Design. And he was basically, and he's pretty, he's cool in many ways, but he was basically equating discount to churn.
Yeah.
Which is, first thought, second thought is like, wait a minute, I didn't think about it like that. So, and he's basically saying like, hey, imagine you give a 20% discount and how that feels. And now compare that to having 20% churn. And it's basically the same thing. It has the same impact on your CAC payback. It has the same impact on your lifetime value. It has the same impact on your growth. All of these things are the exact same thing. But, for many reasons, and some of that is obviously, investor-sided, churn, 20% churn feels so much more hurtful than giving a 20% discount.
Yeah. But I also think, the ramification, for example, is if it starts impacting your elements like CAC payback, it basically means you're less competitive in going out and buying customers, right? So if you are doing, let's say, performance marketing and run a lot of paid advertising, you actually have a competitive edge if your payback or CAC payback is better than that of the competition.
Yeah,
right?
I think this is very rarely talked about. And maybe it goes a little bit beyond kind of the scope for today. But basically, what you're referring to here is if you have a product that costs $100,000, you can afford a CAC payback of actually $150,000. So you can basically afford CAC of $150,000. Now the firepower you can deploy to get that customer with a $150,000 budget it's obviously much more if you were selling a $25,000 product, right? And that translates both into, the ads you can run on Google and Facebook and what have you, but also on the quality of sales reps you can hire, the support you can give, and all of these other things around it, which basically gives you a competitive edge, right? So really basically saying the more CAC I can afford because the price is higher, because I have more funding in the bank account, the more competitive and aggressively I can go to market, right? It's a little bit the flip side of the very efficient customer acquisition cost payback period that many folks out there are focusing on.
Yeah, and I think if you stay in this mindset, right, the next dimension is you close the deal, you have the customer. For those you discount, what's the lifetime value going to be like on that cohort? Are they going to have higher churn? And probably yes, in many cases, because and so you talked about it a bit recently, right? You want to get more of the same type of customer, and usually the ones where you discount, they're not a fit with that, right?
Yeah. And this is actually another thing from Patrick Campbell, Price Intelligently. So basically they're saying, hey, discounting lowers the LTV, so your lifetime value of a customer by, more than 30%.
Yeah.
And now you think like, well, wow, isn't more than 30% kind of a large discount to have on average? Well, the problem is actually twofold. It compounds. And it's basically kind of what I mentioned earlier, just now combined. It's not only that you give maybe 20-25% discount, it's also that customer by itself will be more likely to churn. So if you kind of combine both of these effects, you basically get to a larger than 30-35% reduction of lifetime value.
Yeah. That's a terrible spot to be in. I think you also mentioned when we kind of discussed discount the other day, that you won't reap the same benefit of compounding on price increases. And it's going to actually be difficult for you to pull off if you have a lot of let's say fluctuations in the price your customer base is paying. That's going to be a difficult exercise to navigate as well, right? So there's a lot of obstacles for you as well.
No, and also on the renewal side of things, once you open the door for a negotiation on the new biz side, you kind of implicitly also open the door on that negotiation on the renewal side.
Yeah.
So just think about the additional firepower and kilojoules you need to deploy. Every time you renew someone, you will potentially set yourself up for a new pricing conversation, right? And how much time does that take off your organization, of your CSM? So you need to teach them and train them, and geez, now I need account managers to do that instead. And all of that, they're the compounding effect of issues that are surrounding that.
And so I think the last piece is obviously you can infer from this that you're potentially also pushing a lot of futures down the road, essentially, is what you're doing.
So you're pushing what down the road?
You're pushing your problems down the road, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's we'll deal with that issue with churn in the future. We'll deal with LTV in the future, and then take it from there. And that's going to be really hard. That's going you're going to sit with product and say, hey, can we fix these things? Maybe that's going to help. You're going to hop on a bunch of calls with your customer support team and CSMs, and it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. And obviously kind of we're sitting here and, talking from the high ivory tower of, how bad churn is and, you shouldn't do it. In reality, I myself have never led a sales organization where I wasn't pro discounts.
No.
And also, grow blocks. Yeah. Sometimes we do give a discount. It has to do with something else though. We're very not 100% certain what the price point really is, right? So that's kind of, there's always a discussion and that's kind of another piece here, what you need to figure out. Early on in your journey, you won't be 100% sure what your price point actually is. And then standing firm and being like, no, we don't give any discounts, difficult, right? And the same thing also on, if it's a highly competitive field.
Yeah.
And in those cases, you might simply need to be, more precise and clear on pricing. And the less kilojoules you deploy there to figure that out, the more you probably will need to, give flexibility to your reps to do price adjustments on the fly. And sometimes that's a great recipe, and sometimes it's a really terrible recipe.
Yeah. But I think regardless of, yes, we've been doing discounts in the past, maybe even now, right? I think it's still important to stop sometimes and just to reflect, is that actually the right way, just because this is the established way of doing things, of doing business.
Yeah.
You might actually learn a thing or two. And you know, I was certainly shocked by some of the things we're going to get into now.
Yes. Yeah.
So why should you actually consider a discount-free future where you build up a sales team and you go, yeah, just so you know, we're not going to do any discounts, period. It's like, well, what if my cousin wants to buy? It's like, yeah, he's not going to get a discount. It's like, no one will get a discount, right? So what should you consider? What are some of the benefits actually of doing that?
Yeah. So the first non-obvious one here, and I love this one a lot, and that's why we're starting out with this one. It actually cuts down your sales cycles by sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. So why is that? Well, if you think about whatever you're selling, there is even a stage in your Salesforce or HubSpot pipeline that's called negotiation. And that usually comes after, discovery is done and decision makers bought in and you did your whole medic or whatever you're doing. And then in the end, it's about, figuring out what the price is and back and forth on that. And again, when I buy software, I have my whole system to push the price down. And that system relies it's not a quick phone call. It's not like, hey, how much, I need a discount. And then the other side says, okay, how much? And done. It's never like that. The best practice is to never ever on the call just go down in price. Always delay or ask for something in return, make it difficult, yada, yada. But what making it difficult for the other side means is also it makes it longer for you to close that deal. And I think many people completely underestimate the importance of velocity, the amount of deals basically one rep can turn over. That's how you need to think about that. If it takes a year for a rep to turn over a deal, that's one deal, let's just say a year they can do. If it takes a month, that same rep can do 12 deals instead, suddenly, right? And obviously they do stuff in parallel and so forth, but that's how you need to think about it, right? Kind of velocity is a major efficiency driver that people don't see. And if you simply, are on the call, say the price, pause, don't have the question mark at the end when you say it. And then, someone asks for a discount and you just say, no, we don't give any discounts. What will happen is what happened to me when I bought actually Chili Piper. They're kind of one of the ones that are really, really, hard on this one. I had one of my RevOps guys do the call, do the discovery, do the negotiation, blah, blah, blah. And we already decided we're going to buy Chili Piper because we needed it. So the period, that was already done. And it was not like, this $1,000 or $2,000 more that's going to break the deal. It was, honestly not what this was about. And, I talked to my RevOps guy and he was like, Tony, they don't give any discount. First reaction, I laugh. First reaction.
Yeah.
It's like, sure they don't give a discount. And then I just get a blank. And by the way, this was not a junior RevOps guy. This is a kind of a guy who's been doing this for a long time, actually. And he was looking at me with, dead, honesty and certainty. He's like, Tony, they do not give any discounts. And then I stopped laughing and I paused. And then I was like, well, then let's just sign the deal now. And the thing is, what you gonna do? Are you gonna waste another 2-3 weeks and push something that you won't get anything for? And obviously, hey, is this an outlier scenario? Blah blah blah. Probably. But that's the effect that it has, right? Instead of you playing this game for 2 or 3 weeks longer, basically the other side is like, okay, we can't play that game. So let's close it right now. And there you go. You have saved 2-3 weeks of your sales cycle, right? And I think just to kind of jump into the next one, another piece of why the velocity actually increases, meaning the sales cycles shortens, is if you don't give any discounts, that means you are very, very sure of your price point. And that means you can actually put it on the website. And we see a lot of companies that are basically, oh no, I can't show a number that's larger than $1,000 on my pricing page because no one will buy it. Everyone will just run away, do something else. You can't do that. But if you're so dead sure about your pricing, and your pricing is right, you can actually put it on the website, and suddenly the consideration phase will include your pricing. The consideration phase will, when someone is doing research, instead of needing to call you up and wasting your time, blah, 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 they just know it. And then they can have that conversation already internally. And then there's no weird, awkward silence when someone is, presenting the pricing sheet and so forth. And again, those are things that will basically shorten your sales cycles, right? And I think, taking those two things together, it's a massive efficiency increase that people sometimes don't associate with discounting necessarily.
Yeah. No, I think it is one of those you don't realize, and just the pure efficiency gain you can gain per rep is immense. It's immense. And I think you and I talked about, hey, when we've purchased, software solutions in the past, there would be 3-4 weeks of negotiation.
Yep.
And that's a lot to shave off. So totally see the value there. And I think maybe jumping into the next one. So you kind of alluded to it with, hey, you can put pricing on the page. The reality is, most of the times you have a pretty good idea of what a piece of software costs, even though it's not listed on the website, because, either you've purchased it in the past, or someone who is, has a contract with them, or if you don't know anyone, guess what? There are plenty of communities these days that people can hop into, right? So it's incredibly transparent in relation to price. And you already said that enables you to put pricing on the website. But I'm we already covered this one.
Yeah,
man.
we did.
We already covered this one, and you keep me going. Anyway,
I think the next interesting one is really about the one of the objections is always like, well, if you use discount the right way, it acts like gravy, and it basically accelerates the sales cycles, right? That is the argument many times. And basically someone says like, hey, listen, I can, maybe I can give you a discount, but what I need in return is urgency. Whatever form of that. You need to sign this thing, you need to get this to legal, you need to give me a verbal, you need to, whatever you're asking in return is always urgency. And basically you're bargaining around the urgency piece here, right? And for example, when I bought Salesforce, I don't know, a couple of years ago, what I did there on purpose was basically I started the conversation in the first week of January. And this was $150,000 deal or something. We had a fairly sizable sales team at that point. And what maybe some listeners don't know is that Salesforce year end is on January 31st. So basically, the sales rep that I was reaching out to was incredibly lucky. It ended up being a 3-year deal, more than $300,000. It was a big thing even for the size that we were at that point. It still was a big thing for the rep. And he didn't have time to go through all of those negotiation steps and kind of, hey, blah, blah, blah. He needed to get this deal closed, in a month from now or less than that. So basically, his only choice was skipping some discounting steps, going further down much quicker. And basically, we were capitalizing on this exact problem where the counterpart, your account executive on the other side, they have a deadline. You kind of don't have a deadline, right? You don't care if you close this 1st of Feb or last day of January. So really, you will basically have on the vendor side one of your helpers basically trying to give you the discount, fighting for you on the vendor side to give you that discount. And again, right, does it really matter for the business whether or not that deal closes on the 31st of January or the 1st of February? It doesn't really matter all that much, but it matters for that salesperson. So therefore, that salesperson will be incredibly incentivized to give you this discount, right? And with all the kickers and, spiffs and all of that stuff going on, for him giving you a 20% discount and closing the deal will make him a ton more money. So it's a completely rational decision on his or her side to actually kind of go ahead and do it. But for you as a business, I don't know, it didn't really change much, right? You might have closed that deal for 100% or, whatever discount a week later anyway, right? Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of upside with discounting. Did we leave anything out? I wonder. What was kind of a tee up to churn, but I wonder if we've then talked about it.
I think we talked about it, actually.
Okay. But then, so, we've covered a bunch of the benefits of, of future with no discounting. So you become more competitive. You avoid the whole incentives for a rep to just skip ahead and do the discounting, right? And a bunch of other pieces. But you still might want some solutions in place because you will still be faced with a prospective client expecting you to move somewhat in their direction.
Yeah.
So what are some of the alternatives? Because I think it would be a poor job of us to just say, yeah, and that's it. Now go, without discounts.
Yeah, go to your CEO and say,
Yeah.
hey, we should stop discounting. Yeah.
No, so you have the benefits now, right? Let's talk about what are some of the remedies in when you actually start the work in the sales cycle.
Yeah. I think lots of that has to do with pricing and packaging, honestly. So there might be some benefits here in figuring out what the right price for you is. If you give a discount all the time, people will expect that discount and so forth. And that might come with different value offerings for the different tiers. So, hey, if you only want to have that kind of, if you only have that budget, then you can only have that thing here. And basically try and match value that you give with the pricing that you're able to achieve, right? And if you have fairly unsophisticated pricing, you don't have that opportunity. You can't then say, okay, no, it's no problem if you want a 20% discount. It's no issue. You just then buy this other level, this other tier here of the product, and you need to go for that instead, right? I think that conversation sometimes it's really painful for the buyer because then they're like, no, but I want this other thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but if you want the other thing, you need to pay for that, right? So this is sometimes kind of a good conversation. I think my favorite is actually a vanishing discount.
Yeah,
honestly, really, and I think someone like HubSpot is doing this extremely well. Basically, they're saying, sure, whatever discount, but it will go away / need to be renegotiated at renewal.
Yeah.
And basically, they're putting it in the contract in a way where you need to be proactive about, calling up your AM and, asking and begging and pushing for a discount. And the rationale is pretty smart, actually, at that point, because, when you buy a new tool, you always have this, oh, damn, I need to roll this out now, and I won't be able to use it for 2-3 months, and then there will be some bugs, and some things won't work, and arguably your value for the first year probably is less than the following years, right? And you can almost think like you add that amount of rollout work on top of the price you need to pay as your full cost, basically. And guess what? Up on renewal, that additional rollout cost or onboarding cost, that will have vanished at that point. You have rolled it out, right? And then going to the vendor asking for a discount will be much harder conversation. And actually, the rollout cost works in their benefit now.
Yeah.
Because if you wanted to stop using them, well, you need to spend the rollout cost now on another tool, right? And this only works with like sticky products and HubSpot and products where a lot of users are in there. It obviously makes a bunch of sense. But it does, I gotta say, that did create kind of a bad taste in my mouth many times, kind of, especially working with HubSpot on this specific thing.
Yeah.
But, generally speaking, vanishing discounts, that would be actually my overall go-to in terms of, sure, you will have a discount conversation. Sure, your rep will have that toolbox or that tool in the box. But, it won't overall hurt your business.
And I think it doesn't have to be on the, let's say, the license you do a vanishing discount, because I even believe HubSpot at some point they did I don't know how strict they were about it, but a required onboarding package with training that came at a cost.
Yeah.
And they would, potentially waive that cost. but that wasn't then the license, right? So you're basically switching it out. So I think you can enable with other things if you have services or whatever, right? You can do things on the side because they're non-recurring. It won't impact you the same way.
Yeah, I think the main piece here is what if you can't get away from discounts? Try not make them recurring.
Yeah.
I think I said it once before. In a world of recurring revenues, you want to have one-off discounts. Not the other way around.
Yeah,
and that's really if you can find ways to install that into your organization, I think that's going to be extremely beneficial. And then the alternative, not giving any discounts, I think it can drive efficiencies that people don't realize that it might drive. And the reason why people aren't able to resist the discounting piece is, sure, there's a culture and an expectation, and that's difficult to just change as one vendor. But also, how sure are you about your pricing? If you're not 1,000% rock solid sure, you will always be like, okay, let's fix that issue by giving a discount here and there, right? And I think focusing on the pricing side, not only creating more options and add-ons and value can dial up and down with the price that someone wants to pay, but also with the certainty of that is the correct price and we're gonna stand by it. Doing that will also give your reps much more stamina and not ending the pricing slide with a question mark, but with just a pause.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes the soft door opening, like, well, we tailor our pricing and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you will kind of hear those soft openings from reps, and if you have much more conviction in your pricing, some of this will actually go away.
Yeah. I think that's also why for some businesses, they're going the no discount route. It just brings more clarity, right? And I've, by the way, fun fact, actually been, selling things direct to consumer at one point, face to face. And we were the only importer. We had exclusivity of a certain product. So when they asked for a discount, it was easy to say no because there were no substitute.
I don't think we should advertise for selling drugs, Mikkel. This is not okay here. Wow.
I think our show just got, rated something just with that comment there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay.
But anyway, I think this was a good one. It's always fun to kind of challenge your own views.
Yes.
Like you said, we've been used to discounting. This is, if you probably hire your first salesperson for the team, that's probably going to be a topic at some point in time because, of course, it's a thing. But I think it's really important to just take a different view on it.
Yes.
Every now and then. You will definitely learn something, and maybe you land on the middle ground. Maybe you go the full Monty. Let's see.
And if you need help pushing this through in your organization, just maybe send this podcast link to one of those folks. And let's see if we were able to convince your VP of sales, your CEO, your CRO. Let's see about that.
Yeah. But thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much, Tony. This was a good conversation yet again.
Thanks, Mikkel, and hope everyone enjoyed it, and have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.